You've got to be very conscious of the fact that both Gibraltar and Spain are running in parallel two tracks. The track of trying to negotiate a treaty that will permit complete fluidity at the frontier, and at the same time, and Frontex has a role in both of these, running for the possibility, also the project of there being no negotiated outcome and the need to have maximum fluidity possible with the Schengen Border Code and Gibraltar's own reciprocal rules applying to the crossing of individuals who want to come in and out of Gibraltar and in and out of the European Union and Spain. So what we are doing is very similar to what you're going to see the Frontex operation preparing, which is having an intelligent frontier as well. Alongside our BCA, we will be trying to have more of the electronic measures in place. And that is what the Spanish, the Europeans, and through Frontex, you can see is being done on the Spanish side of the frontier.
Well, BCA officers, Borders and Coastguards, aren't happy. They're concerned that they might lose their jobs with Frontex.
Well, look, nobody needs to worry about being out of a job in Gibraltar, in particular our Borders and Coastguard agents. I'm going to be seeing the BCA members of staff next week in a meeting which I've had to unfortunately adjourn before the summer on a number of occasions because of budgetary commitments, etc. But I reiterate what I said in a recent GBC program where I was explaining what the treaty might look like. My view is that the Borders and Coastguard agents that we have in place will become even more important if there is a treaty. We expect there to be even more traffic. The fluidity does not mean that we will not be operating controls. We want to see maximum fluidity, but we want to see maximum security. We also expect that there will be a lot of traffic at the airport, so nobody needs to be concerned about potentially being out of a job. Quite the opposite, as I already said on GBC, I imagine we will need more Borders and Coastguard agents, not less.
But would they be working under Frontex?
No, not at all. Come on, let's please not allow the foolish prejudices that have crept into this period of limbo to get any credence whatsoever. Frontex is going to be there to deal with the European immigration issues, the Schengen immigration issues. The Gibraltar immigration issues will be exclusively a matter for Gibraltar and will continue to be exclusively a matter for Gibraltar. So all Gibraltar immigration issues will continue to be dealt with by the Gibraltar authorities, principally the Borders and Coastguard Agency, but of course you then have other powers, some of which are in the Royal Gibraltar Police. In respect of customs, the issue is of course with Her Majesty's Customs Gibraltar. There may or may not be customs arrangements also if we are able to reach a final agreement in relation to the treaty that we are proposing between the United Kingdom and the European Union. What is important is that we mustn't allow this period of limbo which has crept into the period whilst the EU created its frankly laughable mandate for the negotiations to somehow infect our enthusiasm and our optimism for this UK-EU treaty if we're able to negotiate it in terms which are akin to the New Year's Eve agreement, which is what is acceptable to the government of Gibraltar because nothing else will be.
Chief Minister, you've mentioned that period of limbo. Of course, a lot of the measures end in October now. So what is happening? You said the UK and Gibraltar are not happy with the EU's draft mandate. So can you even start negotiating? Where are we?
The EU needs to go firm on its mandate. I think the Foreign Secretary and I have been very clear on what we think of that mandate. What matters here is the text of the treaty. Now, the other side can come into the negotiation if they wish, with whatever it is that they like on their crib sheet. We know what it is that our bottom line is, and we've made pretty clear across the airwaves as well as privately what we think is the art of the possible under the New Year's Eve agreement. There is nothing behind the curtain that is different to what is in front of the curtain. We've stuck our colours to the mast. We've said the New Year's Eve agreement is what we are prepared to do. We're prepared to see that turned into a treaty. Of course, there is nuance there, and in that nuance will be the negotiation, but the mandate is well outside the nuance of what might be possible under the New Year's Eve agreement, and it will not form the basis of a treaty that will be acceptable to the Her Majesty's Government of Gibraltar, or indeed, as the Foreign Secretary has said already repeatedly, to Her Majesty's Government of the United Kingdom. And I know, and I can tell the people of Gibraltar that they can be satisfied that Her Majesty's Government of the United Kingdom will not enter into a treaty with the European Union in respect of Gibraltar, which is not to the satisfaction of Her Majesty's Government of Gibraltar.
And where does Spain come into all this?
Well, look, Spain is one of the club of the 27 remaining member states. Spain knows that the New Year's Eve agreement is acceptable to Gibraltar, and Spain knows that the mandate spun up by the European Union's Commission for approval by the European Council is not acceptable and would lead to all of the negative consequences that she is trying to avoid for her people, as we are trying to avoid for our people.
Well, Chief Minister, something of an unfair question, but optimistic?
Wouldn't be the first time that you ask me an unfair question. It's your job, and that's absolutely fine. I continue to be optimistic and I continue to be enthusiastic about the possibility of entering into an agreement, a treaty between the United Kingdom and the European Union in respect of Gibraltar, which preserves and protects all of Gibraltar's equities, whether they are sovereignty equities in relation to immigration, etc., or whether they are business and commercial equities to protect our private sector.